glorify the hunter. And you know, I'll say that again. Folks, I said until the lions have their own historians, the tales of hunting would always glorify the hunter. Hello and welcome to the most opinionated hour on radio and the nation's thought-provoking hour. I am Nana Ansah Kwao IV, Chief of the Little Republic of Akwemu Edumasa. But unlike the Western Togoland, we want to remain in Ghana. Chief of the Little Republic of Akwemu Edumasa. But unlike the Togoland business thing, we want to remain in Ghana. We want to be the only republic within the republic. Folks, it's time for our all-important ritual. A ritual with the one major rule. One major rule. To participate in this ritual, you must drop all labels. Simply come as a Ghanaian. It can be difficult, but it's possible. So once you've done that, I welcome you to the ritual I call That's My Opinion. Only on the Superstation Joy 99.7 FM. And we have been doing this for nearly, 7 years. Still going, week in, week out, churning thought-provoking issues on anything and everything with one agenda, folks, to make us better. And I'm sure you can agree, to make us better. In fact, the show is now, I think it's our show now. I think it's fair to say it's my show. Because now it's a whole institution going out there, So I meet guys out there and they say, you know what, I am part of your silent listeners. I don't miss the show. So now it's our show. Folks, our topic today, and this is one topic that will need a whole commission set up. A bipartisan, multi-religious, and traditional leaders included kind of commission. And anyway, you can tell me after the show if you think a commission should be set up. Education to speak English or education to develop Ghana? Education to speak English or education to develop Ghana? And if I had a subtitle, it would be what problem in Ghana is our education solving today as we are? What problems, as you're driving, you're looking around, chaos, indiscipline, lies, dishonesty, name it, all the open drains, building before we plan, all these things going on. And you ask yourself, what is our education doing today to respond to all these things that are bugging us? But as usual, let me take you back in time. We as Ghanaians, even before it was called Ghana, folks, we had a compulsory education culture. A compulsory education culture. And it started right from probably when you were about 6 weeks old. Yes, that young. Our education was also location specific. So once you were finished with your education, you were relevant to wherever it is that you got that education. So it's not that you go, you're educated in Tamale, and by the time you finish your education, you're of no use to Tamale people unless you come to Accra. You're educated in Edumasan, by the time you finish the education, you have no use to Edumasan, you need to head to Kumasi. No, the education was location specific. It made you relevant where you were. And every course included the study of nature and environmental protection. Every course. Folks, I've also said that it was nearly impossible to find an illiterate before formal and conventional schooling came to be. If your parents were farmers, right from an early age, you were taken to the farm, you grew up getting used to all the methods and techniques. You were allowed to have your little farm within the farm as you grew. You had the joy of harvesting your own corn. You were taught all the medicinal plants. You knew the terrain in and out. And folks, you will be amazed at the level of knowledge. Many of you have seen this before. A cone-shaped hut where dry corn is torn in a particular angle. Just corn packed neatly round on top of each other. I was amazed to know, folks, that at that angle, corn would not totally dry out, so that the seeds could be used for the next planting season. Now that's education. Whoever taught them that, however they knew, I don't know, but that was education. Folks, again, you were trained in the knowledge of your environment, because education was to make you very useful to humanity and your environment. So it was then. So it was then when folks were useful to their humanity and understood and protected the environment. Folks, even till date, you realize that our folks in the rural areas know the names of birds, trees, remedies for bites, and basic health problems than we so-called learned ones speaking big English in Accra. Now, when the foreigners go back again, when the foreigners first came to our shores, came to trade, then set up missions and schools followed by slave trade. Folks, first, what they needed was us to be able to translate. So there was no need for you to be able to write. Just, if I can speak some basic English, you translate. So all they needed was to say, Nana, Akwesibo needs your gold. That's what they needed you to say. Nana, Akwesibo need the gold there, it'll go there, P. That's what they needed you to say. And therefore, we were trained to be able to speak English, and those who were able to speak English were, Akrachi for. Then they started setting up churches and schools. So they raised the bar. This time the education included reading, so that those who were going to go to the church will be able to read the Bible, and those who go into the schools will be able to teach the students whatever it is that they were supposed to teach. Then when the whole machinery was in full swing, when our railways were built for mineral-rich areas heading towards the port, clerks were needed. So again, education responded to that. Folks, for conventional education to hold, the African had to be de-Africanized. We had to be broken down mentally, so that schools were set up like military camps. You get in early, clean a section designated to you, then get ready for parade and morning assembly, inspection of nails, hair, uniform, and a section that you were supposed to clean any mistake, and the cane was out. No vernacular. This regime really shattered your confidence. It just put you in an obey before complain mode. From early morning mental, repeat after me, copy what's on the board, the characteristics of this, the significance of that, the definition of this. And in those days, they learned about, folks, the Andes, the Alps, the Atacama Desert. They knew all the four seasons in Europe, except they are very well. By the time you were finished with the program, as I want to put it, you were completely diseducated. And the higher you went on the education ladder, the more European you became at heart and in mind, and it still stands till date. Folks, last Wednesday I went to see my dad, KSM as you will call him. And we were talking, and he asked what I was going to talk about on Monday. He's a very ardent listener of the show. And let me add and give him credit that, he taught me the craft of radio. I had the opportunity to work with him in Sapphire back in the days, and he taught me the craft. So maybe I had the talent, but he taught me the craft of radio. And I think he did a good job. Maybe one day I have to do a show and we'll vote as to whether he did a good job or not. Anyway, so I told him that I wanted us, myself and you, the opinionators, to ask ourselves, with the myriad of problems beset our happy home Ghana currently, is our education solving any, responding to any? What problem or problems in Ghana today is our education solving? Very frustrated. And he said, hey, your grandfather wrote a book on this issue all the way back in 1972. Professor Kankam Tumberima, astute agric professor, Professor Kankam Tumberima. The book was called Education for Development. And he says, I can lend it to you. It may help you with your research. When I got the book, I just looked at how old the book was. I just wanted to get home. I just wanted to get home. And boy, oh boy, did the book make me sad. Folks, did the book make me sad. made a statement, and a very powerful statement, which, it's like after reading that statement, you just ask yourself, so what next? He said, for a people cut off from their cultural roots, the road to progress is beset with difficulties. The tragedy is that we do not even become aware of those difficulties, for we are blinded by the very shortcomings of the system which makes us alien to our own situation and environment, and it makes us uncritical admirers of Western cultures and foreign mode of life. So here he was telling us how difficult it is to develop outside of one's culture. Going through the book, I realized it's probably our genes. My grandfather started pushing this agenda. KSM came, did his best. Now here I am pushing, whether to pushing in vain or whether it's going to yield any results. The Prof says, for a people cut off from their cultural roots, the road to progress is beset with difficulties. The tragedy is that we do not even become aware of those difficulties, for we are blinded by the very shortcomings of the system which makes us alien to our own situation and environment, and makes us uncritical admirers of foreign cultures and foreign mode of life. Folks, if you see how in the beginning schools were set up to respond to what they needed, translators to preachers and teachers and clerks, and unfortunately we got our independence when the evolution of education got to clerical education, and for years we have not been able to come to the table again to ask if we need that many clerks as we are training today. Folks, according to his book, Kingsley Hayford in those days was pushing for technical education and an African university. But unfortunately, when he died, the story ended. The story ended. Today, when I advocate for technical education, then I just, bring myself up for, major insult. But can you believe that, recently they picked TVET ambassadors and I wasn't called. How could you call TVET ambassadors in today's Ghana and me, one-man campaigner of technical education? But you know what? We shall continue the good work. We shall continue the good work. Folks, but let me, pick up the book and share some of the stories with you, some of the pages with you, because it's just fantastic. And I think that this book should be printed, and every student should not leave school. No teacher should be allowed to face students without reading a book like this. It says, nevertheless, even in Legon, Blyden and Kingsley Hayford's concept of an African language development was dropped in favor of an emphasis on modern European languages. And we had departments of English and French established. And this at the time when European universities, including University of London, which the Anglophone African institutions were affiliated, were rapidly and vigorously establishing departments of African languages and African studies. And when some of our African universities were slow to start courses in agriculture, Institute of Tropical Agriculture and Veterinary Medicine were springing up in the States and temperate Europe, while African Studies Department became an interesting novel feature of the North American universities. We had this sudden upsurge of interest in the subject affecting the very lives of the African institutions in Europe and America, while Africa concentrated on the traditional European programs and became more and more European programs and became more and more Europeanized. It could be that even in these fields of study, Africa had to wait for Europe and America to develop the expertise so to be able to provide her with the leadership which they might not otherwise have been able to give. So back in the days, folks, when we were busy trying to speak Spanish, busy trying to brothelize, the Americans and the Europeans were rather doing our languages and African studies. Very sad. Very, very sad beginning. Let me take you to page 24, another interesting thing here. So technical education failed to keep pace with development of secondary grammar school education. Whatever might have induced this trend in educational development, the net psychological outcome was a general depreciation of technical education. This unfortunate aversion for technical education, thus endangered among the people, has acted as a brake on development programs in countries which lack the elementary skills for technical development, but now bound in clerks and junior administrative personnel of doubtful efficiency, and in most cases possess no sense of agency. I wish I could read the whole book for you, but I'll share a couple, then we go to the phone. I'll share a couple, then we go to the phone. Now check this out. Now don't ever tell me that my grandfather don't want to broth. Please. It says, indeed, the corrugated iron sheet, the most unsightly, unhealthy, and unsuitable roofing material ever invented by man's ingenuity for his fellow man in the tropics, should still be in use in tropical Africa, while suitable clay for the manufacture of tiles abound in most places, is an indication of the extent to which our minds and imaginations have been degraded by successful economic colonialism. Brick and tile manufacture should feature in the craft teaching in schools and in third worlds where facilities for the industry exist, and in circumstances of economic stringency where conversation of foreign exchange seriously engages the attention of politicians, wisdom dictates that the neglect of this is the height of folly. Folks, we've heard about bauxite, in the background. There is the railway from Tema going into Akwamu. There's a factory springing up in districts. There's agriculture booming. And so I'm asking, is the Ministry of Education training people in bauxite technology, whatever it is bauxite does? Are there people who know how to fix trains and fix railways should these Indians and foreigners leave? Agri-processing, is there any school responding to agri-processing? Folks, that's what I am asking. I don't want to talk too much because I know you have something to say, but what is our education responding to? Because otherwise what happens is that I just get up, go to school, come out and ask if somebody needs my service. Service for what? There should be an opening why it is that you went to school. And then when you come, you slot yourself in it. Your education should come and solve a problem. Your education should come and solve a problem. And so I am asking, what is our education solving in Ghana? If you know, it is 0302 216 541. 0302 216 541. Or you can send a WhatsApp to 055 1111 997. folks, education in Ghana today should also, we have to go back to that location-specific thing. So that if you're within a certain jurisdiction, your education should let you stay there. There's a lot of cashew in the Bron area, and so there should be some sort of a technical school or something that responds to that cashew there. So as soon as you finish, you can easily slot in. You can't go to school in an area, and as soon as you finish, you have to come to Accra because but Kwei is on the line. Hello, Kwei.
Hello, my dear Nana.
Good evening.
Nana, good evening. God really bless you. The way you were able to come out with topics. In fact, I pray that God will continue to bless you as you've decided to help us develop this nation.
Thank you.
Nana, in fact, it is very, very important that language or languages we must consider in our educational system, because without you knowing how to read someone's language, you wouldn't be able to understand whatever you want to do. So many years ago, our forefathers used to do their things in a manual way, which is even if they want to grind things, they have to put it on a stone and use rocks, which is a very tedious work. But the white people introduce machines, and when they bring these machines, what you need to do is that you are supposed to know how to read the manual so that you will be able to use this machine to work and then come out with an efficiency which can help develop this country. So education without languages wouldn't help. But nowadays, what is happening in our country? Things that are happening right now is like students are in there to just know how to speak someone's language. And when they come out, they are just, I can speak proper English. But when you ask them, what output are you going to give to the country to develop, then they look at your face just because they can speak. So we must help our children, our youth, to know how to come out, use our capital resource, and how to come out with their own, materials to help develop this country in a proper way.
Thank you very much, and it's a very. I think you summed it all for us. Something is on the line. Hello, Samsung.
Hello, Nana.
Let me hear you, my brother. No, my son.
Nana,
my brother.
son.
Yes.
In fact, you need to explain the English word faithfulness to our older men. Permission to give all foreigners and students. Let us look at the kind of certificate we are holding and our behavior we are portraying outside world and the young one coming. And in fact, I asked him, a well-educated PhD holder Ghanaian. I'm sad. God bless you.
God bless you too, Samson. God bless you too, Samson. 0302 216 541. Well, I like this message. There's no name. I says, good evening, man of God. Yes, I take it. So if you're just tuning in, we are looking at what problems in Ghana today that our education is solving. Ken is on the line. Hello, Ken.
Hello, Nana. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm very well, Ken.
Good. It's a very interesting program. An ardent listener from Kofredia.
Oh, great.
God bless you for your good work done. The situation is not that bad sometimes the way it is portrayed. Because where I work with architects, I work with engineers, I work with scientists, and they are all training. But it looks like the standards are falling. So our education is solving a problem. But it looks like we are losing the focus, which will enhance our technical education at the highest level.
Let me come in here. Would you agree with me that generally honesty? I mean, there's too much dishonesty. Like you go to mechanic, Master Kobrochina, you come back tomorrow, and it's not. General dishonesty. Do you agree that we have a problem like that?
Yeah, Nana, to a large extent, I agree with
Good. And what do you see in our educational system today trying to fix this general dishonesty?
This is just on morality. To say I can do it or I cannot do it, or go and come. To a large extent, it's not an issue of education, it's morality. It borders on integrity. That your truth is the truth, and your yea be yea or your nay be nay.
And you don't think that in the schools this is an integral part, that a child should leave school knowing that I have to be honest with my teacher, i.e. if you come to school late, don't tell the teacher it was light off, it was rain, just say, teacher, I'm sorry, I overslept. But Ken is on the, Vincent. Hello. Hi, Vincent.
Yeah.
Let me hear you.
Hello, Nana. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
In fact, I will confer on you. Hello?
Yes, I'm listening, my brother.
I am conferring on you. I'm Professor of National Development. It is the title I'm conferring on you. Professor of National Development.
Well, I take it. That's a big,
yes,
a big award. So I take it.
Yes. In fact, I have to rush home. I have to rush home just to catch up with your program, because it's a program I normally don't miss. This is a very good topic. Nana, everybody wants to be a lawyer. Everybody wants to be a lawyer, and we are neglecting agri. We are neglecting other sectors of the economy which never develop.
Thank you very much. That was Vincent 00302216541. There's so many problems, so many issues that confront us today. And I think that we are focusing too much on literacy and numeracy while we have the opportunity to meet our children in school. So yes, they can read and write. They can calculate. They can work up a pie chart. They can name the parts of a grasshopper. I met Pastor of Being Fresh. I said, Nana, naming the parts of a grasshopper. It's even grand to name the part of a grasshopper. But we name the parts of a grasshopper, and we come and we are impatient in traffic, and we are littering, and we are, not so concerned about fellow human. Look at the number of deaths on the road, year in, year out, 2,000. It's like mass murder, and we just go through it cleanly. But we are all educated, quote unquote. Carlos is on the line. Hello, Carlos.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Help me out.
I must say that this topic that you are discussing tonight is a very good one, especially looking at where our educational system is going in this country. I don't know if you followed. Recently, there was this news story about a little boy who created a kind of a vehicle. These are people we need to celebrate. But unfortunately, in this country, we seem to be shifting away from the technical education, which is why to build roads, to do little things, we have to fall on expatriates. So I think that our educational system in the country is really not solving problems. It's rather creating problems. When we look at how policies are formulated in the educational sector, we leave it in the hands of the politicians instead of, relying on technocrats, people who understand how to solve problems. It's not being done. So, yes, we are not solving any problems in this country with our educational system.
So, you see, that's why in the beginning I said that this topic is one of those topics where we have to form a bipartisan, multicultural, traditional leaders included kind of commission to sit down, probably put the brakes on, and just like COVID came and we sacked everybody from school, close the schools down for like 3 months and come back thinking afresh. So that everybody going to school knows that when I come back from school, this is the problem I'm coming to solve. That's where we are now. Walid is on the line. Walid.
Hello, Nana.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Nana.
Good evening.
I think, first of all, let me say you're doing a great work.
Thank you.
And this topic really needs to be treated even more than once and even twice. Nana, my suggestion is for TVET is very good. I think we should do more than what we are doing. Nana, this is my suggestion. For me, you see, these JHS students completed last week or last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And this week they are being told to do their selection of their schools. Nana, if you can go there and ask them how many of them are going to choose TVET or let's say vocational training schools, it's only 2%. 98% are going to choose the St. Augustine's, the TMS, the Prempeh colleges. Nana, so my suggestion is, I think it's high time we take a bold decision. That is, we should fuse the TVET into the mainstream SHS.
Correct.
So that you don't even have a choice to choose one ahead of the other one. Correct. If you don't do it that way, most of us, or 99% of the students, will be choosing the mainstream SHS without even choosing the TVET schools. Because if you go to these schools, that is what they are doing. So that is my suggestion. I think TVET is one of the... Today I saw something on Twitter, and from what African Education Watch they are doing, I think we need a lot of education, because they put a list after even the TVET, what you are supposed to do, what you can do. So I think we need a lot of education. For me, for instance, I didn't know it. So seeing those things on social media, I think I was very happy. So I think it needs to trend down. We need to teach our young ones, so that they will be choosing these kind of schools, the TVET, so that it will help us. Otherwise, we are finishing schools without any skills, only the theory. That is what we are doing. So I think, Anna, this topic needs to be treated again.
Thank you very much. Professor Okwampa something in New York wrote a long thesis to absolutely lambast me that why am I suggesting a lower form of education for people who are underprivileged? Because I said they should, go into skills like electrician, like plumbing. I'm thinking, hey, Professor, what's the America pan? I mean, if I'm suggesting somebody to have a skilled job, you write Brofubiri to come and lambast me. Today, now, skills is the in thing now. But I'm glad that is the way out. That's how we can build this country, folks. We can't build this country on good grammar. We can build the country on good skills. And so Eunice is on the line. Let me speak to Eunice. Hello, Eunice.
Hello, Nana.
Good evening.
Good evening, Nana.
Let me hear you.
Nana, our educational system is just a factor of the larger society. Society cannot produce people that will be useful to them. What's useful in the society is pushing paper around and following orders, whether those orders resolve any problem. And so the society has a total shift in mindset about where we want to go, where we want to be. The school system is just classic example of what the society is in general.
Thank you very much. Let me share a little one paragraph here. Primary and secondary school education became more and more divorced from the African environment. Their universities still draw inspiration from European and American sources and boasting of French and English departments. They are unashamed to confess ignorance of the local languages. To date, fluency in spoken French or English is the hallmark of education in many independent African countries. Educated African parents are known to encourage their children to speak English or French to the total exclusion of their local language and take pride in communicating with their families in these foreign languages in their homes as a sign of civilized living. If the same level of industry applied by the certain Anglophone and Francophone African countries to the study of the mastery of English and French languages were applied to the physical and economic development of their respective countries, progress could be assured, and there would be correspondingly less need for foreign aid for development. This is clearly a matter of emphasis in the educational system and a national social environment which appears to set so much store by the ability to speak English as an Englishman and French better than the French themselves. So says my grandfather. Enima is on the line. Hello, Enima.
Chief.
Yes, Enima, let me hear you.
You know, I think the problem with education mainly for me, I think we don't really understand what they are taught in school. It's mainly just theory. The practical is very important. So if it's not something that you can relate to, it's just English to you. And I use myself as an example. In school, the subject I hated the most was chemistry. I couldn't stand chemistry. I didn't even like it because I didn't understand anything that you were teaching, and it was just theory. So fast forward, back to your vocational thing. I went to university. Everything I studied now is almost now doesn't even exist for me. I don't use it. So I'm doing something vocational. Very, very chemistry related. And now as I'm here, let me do a course in chemistry, I'll rush to it. And I want to do chemistry now. Now I'm relating to it. It's practical to me now. But before, it was just theory. Somebody was saying that PA something, you can balance it. And it doesn't make any sense. What alkaline is, what acid is. But now I'm relating to it properly. So it makes sense. So I think most of the time, the things that we are taught, we just understand the English of it, but not what it actually means. So I think that's the problem that we have, especially when it comes to education, Nana.
I can relate to Enima very well. Yeah, Enima Jampo, who's CEO of Green Essentials. So now she makes soaps, and she makes the most wonderful soaps and detergents, everything. So after learning marketing and English, now she's using chemistry as a way of life, and she's doing very, very well. Green Essentials. Philip is on the line. Hello, Philip. How I go, Philip? Okay, let me take a couple of messages. Good evening. Nkrumah established various factories in all regions to absorb all academias within the allocation of schooling. General Champon also added Operation Feed Yourself to localize our education. The rest and collapse of this is history. FM in Pram Pram. Let me see if I can get another message. Go back, click, and let's go here. It says, Nana, do the managers of the country listen to you at all? A shea butter factory is built in Tema instead of at the north where shea butter is produced. I criticized it on social media and unfortunately receive attacks, really. Everything is being done in cities, mostly Accra. So what will be there for people to survive on? Everyone will finish school and come to Accra and leave other towns empty. Very, very unfortunate. Something really should be done to curb rural-urban migration for technical and vocational education, so needed, but have been neglected. So unfortunate. Efia Yebinosu, good evening. People like you are the real men of God. Thanks for solving the problem. Sounds for problem-solving topics. Thank you. Efia Kwame is on the line. Hello, Kwame.
Good evening, Nana.
Good evening.
Yes, we don't have a national language, or what they call a lingua franca. And somebody from the north, maybe speaking Hausa or a different language, marries somebody from Accra, Ghana. They are raising up two children. The problem of which language to speak or to use in the house crops up. So until we have a national language, this thing will continue to be a problem in our country. Because you see, if you are a professor in English language and the fisherman in England is also speaking language, and you tell me that you are more educated because you can speak English as a professor, the fisherman who didn't go to school in England is also speaking the same language. So which language must we use in Ghana as a national language?
That's a whole different topic altogether. Kwame is back on the line. Oh, Kwame, your line dropped again. Your line dropped. No, I don't have an SSS certificate, not to talk of a degree. I currently have 14 Ghanaians on my payroll. I presented my idea and a plan to a supposed educated consultant 2 years ago. And he had the guts to tell me he can push my idea for government to adopt it, and it will create a lot of jobs, but I will have to make him a shareholder in my company. He says, to hell with this robotic education. Edward is on the line. Hello, Edward.
Nana Kwe, Edward, I'm back.
Oh, good. Let me hear you.
I thank you for this short opportunity.
Sure.
Nana, yesterday in my house, we had an education on how to use a proper utensils to cook food so that you can live for long. And a certain company was asked to come to our house, which is Salad Master. Nana, you can imagine the kind of cooking utensils that they brought, that if you use this to prepare food, you are going to, in fact, get all the requisite nutrients in food, and then you live healthy without even getting those cholesterols and other things that they've been talking about. Someone sat down to bring out these cooking utensils. So why can't we in our education system introduce a certain field that will help us to teach our children on how to use all these resources that we are having to come out with such, things, so that it can help us, especially with our health, and then if the country is able to look at our health, I think we are going to do much, and we should stop using what we call the language, always the language, one language, English. If you don't know English, you can't. No, we should add extra language, especially our language, our native language, and then we use it to teach them. And then I've heard that one of these political parties contesting for this general election, one of them is saying that when the party is given the mandate to rule the country, the party is going to focus on vocational skills. I believe this is what we are all after, and I believe when they come, they will do whatever they want to do to help us flourish this vocational center.
Amen. Nana, the attitude of the artisan is more of moral breakdown. Today, a politician was to be in court. Okay. Anyone on the line? Not yet. 0302216541. Let me pick another message from WhatsApp. This one says, can we... Hello, who's on the line? Hello.
Hello, Nana.
Philip. Let me hear you.
Hello, Nana. Good evening.
Good evening, Philip.
Yeah, I just want to commend you for the good job you are doing, and I pray that God gives you more wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to continue doing this great job. But if you don't mind, can you tell me about the name of the author of the book you are using?
Yes, the book is called Education for Development, and it was written by K. Chumberima. Education for Development.
I didn't hear you well.
Education for Development.
Okay.
Written by K. Chumberima, was first published in 1972. I got it from my father, KSM. I don't know where you find it from. I'll tell you what, this book should be thank you too, should definitely be republished. I'm telling you, it's mind-opening. Can we count on the number of professors and master students Can we count the number of professors and master students in China? And now listening to you this evening is really making me very sad. Teachers before you the teacher before you as a clerical thinker, imparting the same skills to the child. I asked my lawyer today why they still rope, and she said because some people are still old-fashioned. Progressive thinkers. Makosby Anthony. Gifty Ando Apia is right here. Aren't you privileged to be getting your news bulletin from the lovely Gifty Ando Apia? Abeku Sankofi was on the ones and twos. Sammy Forcing is coming up next with Overdrive. While we are being overdriven, we'll be thinking of education for development and asking that the education we are providing today, as good as it is, as effective as it is, can it really help us to develop? Assuming today we say we're going to build 25 flyovers, is there anybody here listening to me who knows any contractor capable, educated enough to build all these flyovers, or we have to bring people from somewhere? Our education should solve our problems. So we should see whatever problems we have in Ghana today, desilting, filth, impatient, rude, lying, dishonesty. All these things are a problem. And they must, that the children going through school should be able to come out and plug themselves in each and every problem and solve it for us. I want to say thank you. Let's all say thank you to KSM for lending us my grandfather's book. There are extra paragraphs in there, or extra chapters in there, which I think I need to read and then bring on board so that we definitely digest more. It's a very good book. It has to be republished. Folks, until the lions have their own historians, the tales of hunting would always glorify the hunter. Don't you even touch that dial.